let's just get greasy. Let's get it. Let's go.
Yo, what is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode on the channel. So we got a lot of content going on, got a lot of work in the shop going on, and I don't even know where to begin. Anywho, I'm going to start off by saying thank you guys so much for staying tuned to my builds and liking all my stuff. All right, so we got some good stuff going down. I don't even know where to begin. Like I said, I'm super excited to begin all these projects. The project that we got going on today is this scat pack here. So we've had this in the shop for quite some time, trying to figure out what we wanted to do with it. And boom, now we figured it out. So we went 20 over on the piston set. We got those from our dear friend Dave from MMX. Shout out MMX one time. We fucking love you, man. And yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do a quick overview of the parts and what we're gonna be doing. Just gonna unbox this stuff and kind of get it set up, and then I'll show you guys how I set up the pistons and stuff. So here we got the H-beam connecting rods, courtesy of Molnar. I really like these. I've used these in the past. They're really tough stuff, and they're good quality. They come kitted and fitted with the ARP 2000s, so that's good right there. So that's the connecting rods we'll be using. As the application, we may or may not run boost, so at least we will be set up to run boost, so we'll be straight there. Molly sends the bearings with the kit. It seems like they're using the original Mopar bearings. Those work great. And then for the connecting rods, we're using the Molly's. So that's good there. I believe those are Clevite. And then here are the pistons that we'll be using. We usually go the deep dish style, but I figured just keep it close to spec because we might run boost. So this is why I went ahead and got this one. So really nice finish on this. I've used them in the past, like I said, and really good stuff from MMX. So this is pretty much what comes in the box. When you get the box, it's expensive, but it's good stuff. So that's what it looks like. Very neatly packaged and so forth. So here goes your wrist pins in here, and there's boxes underneath here that have the compression rings. So I think this actually is the compression rings. Yeah. So, and they're nice enough to label the compression rings as far as your first and second ring. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Like I said, I've used them in the past, and I haven't had any problems, any issues with MMX or Molly Incorporated. So yeah, so I'm gonna get these unboxed, put them on a bench, and then I'm gonna go through how to set up the pistons and stuff like that. Okay, so real quick, I'm putting together the internals for the Hemi, and so far I got one piston already set up, so I got it installed onto connecting rod. I will video right now how I assemble the wrist pins and the connecting rods onto the piston, as well as how to properly orient them in their respective cylinders. So I already went ahead and did number one right here. So I'm gonna take it out and give you kind of like a brief description of how it's supposed to be set up, and then I'm gonna walk you through actually setting it up. So this is how it should look after you're finished. Get some more light here. This is what it should look like after you're finished. So the this edge here where it looks like it's got a bevel on it, I don't know if it, yeah, there you go. Right here where it looks like it has a bevel, you want this part of the connecting rod to be facing the crank fillet. The crank fillet is what you could call the counterweight of the crank, and so in the block, the fillets of the crank are going to come right here,
with the connecting rod journal, then another fillet, then the main journal right here. So where the two fillets are, the outer portion, which would be right here, and the inner portion, which would be right here. When those two fillets come into the block, as far as when the crank is installed, you want to have these chamfers, as what they're referred to, facing towards each fillet, and then the flat side of the rod will be riding against the other rod. So for instance, this is the number 1 piston. How the engine counts, it counts number 1, number 2 on the other side over there, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8. So I went ahead and just wrote numbers on them, so that way when I do my filing and do my stuff, everything can be corresponding to its respective bore. So we got the connecting rod, the chamfered end facing the fillet, and the other rod on the other side is going to be obviously facing backwards towards the opposite fillet, right? So this is number 1. I'm going to just set number 1 in here like so. So I'm going to do that right now. Just so you understand, I'm just going to carefully rest it on the board. It's not gonna hurt anything, just to keep everything kind of organized. And now we're gonna move on to the number 3 cylinder. So we're gonna do each bank first. So I'm gonna do the number, I'm not sure if this is number 1. I think this is number 1 bank. So I'm gonna do the number 1 bank first. Then I'm gonna come over here and do bank 2. Before I went ahead and kind of installed each circlip, I just installed one side of each piston. So each of these pistons, I went ahead and just installed one circlip, see it inside there, in each side, so that way when I slide the wrist pin through, I can only worry about installing the other circlip as compared to putting on both of them, because they can be pretty tedious. So here's what I did. Went ahead and installed it, so you see how the wrist pin can't come out. Now you can see it more. So as compared to no circlip, right there, circlip, right there. So yeah, this is also a good way to check that they are seated. Need this wrist pin anyway, so I'm gonna be taking it out. Make sure all the parts are clean. Did go ahead and clean all my parts beforehand. We're just gonna call this piston the number 3 piston. So it's cool. You can mark on, you can write on it if you want. So we know that the big relief port is for the intake, and the small relief ports for the exhaust. So obviously the intake manifold is sitting on top of the motor like this. The exhaust is coming off of the cylinder head. So with these MMXs, they don't really indicate which way the piston goes, only because these are professional racing equipment. This is no way, shape, or form stock stuff. So I believe this is a 4618 piston. Is made from a really strong aluminum. It's also anodized, and it's graphite coated on the walls for noise reduction and that clatter during dry startup, as these are racing pistons. So that's why they don't come with any type of direction or anything like that, because only professionals are supposed to use these. They're pretty expensive. The whole kit's like $3,100. So anywho, this is how you orient them. We're gonna call this one number 3, and let's proceed. So I'm gonna turn it over like this, so I know that my intake's right here, my exhaust is right here, and I know that this is facing the front of the engine. So I'm gonna just go ahead and grab a piston, a connecting rod. I already got my bearings in there. I already got them preset and everything, because I wanted to do that just to speed up the video. So to the front of the engine, we want, on bank 1, we want the chamfered ends of the connecting rod to be facing the fillet. So this is how we're gonna be installing it. So when we turn it around, it's gonna look something like this, right? So let's just proceed. So we got the rod right there. Just gonna leave that like that. Now we're gonna get some lube on the wrist pin itself. This stuff should be clean. We're not trying to install any dirty parts. So just gonna put enough lube on it like that. Then just gonna put it into the piston like that. Oh wait, not like that. More like that. That's where my wrist pin's at. Oh, sorry, my circlip's installed. So I'm gonna once again check that my beveled area is pointing towards the front of the engine. This side is the front of the engine because we're flipped upside down. I'm gonna put a little lube inside the connecting rod small end. And I'm using that good juice, you know what I'm saying? So let's just work that in there. Get that in there. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, this stuff's gooey. So we got that there. Clean my hands off because you don't want to get this. It makes it a little bit harder to install the circlip when it's all like wet with this stuff on the opposite end. So there's the opposite end. It's inside. Set that down like that. Now I'm gonna literally squeeze the circlip in with my fingertips. It's a little difficult, but it is possible. I've been doing this for quite a while, and this is just the way I do them. So I'm gonna hold it this way, put a bit of the light so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I kind of like wedge it in the groove real quick, and just kind of like work it in with my fingers, like I said. That's literally all I do. Now I come in with a flat head and kind of like square it up a little better. Just like that. And you will hear it snap in when it's seated. When it's seated, you will hear it snap in. So just like that. And that's how you install. Make sure we check it. Yep. And we got our big end of the connecting rod facing the front of the fillet. So this one, make sure there's no binding. Yeah, feels like butter. We're just gonna load this one into the block just to keep everything organized, because just that's how we do. And just be careful not to bang against the cylinder wall, just like that. Keep everything nice and neat in order. Then we're gonna take him out, set him off to the side, then we're gonna do the rings. So I like to do this before, because once I do the ring and I file it, then it goes onto the piston. So I'm just gonna give you guys a little time lapse of how I do all of them, so we can just go ahead and get those done. Okay, check it out. So I got bank one installed. So this is how I did it. Intake relief port. Intake sits right here. Exhaust relief port coming off of the cylinder head. And I did them just like that. Keep them in order. All my beveled areas, or what you would call my, what do you call it? I have a brain freeze right now, but whatever. The beveled area right there, the recess, whatever you call it, it's the chamfer. That's the term I'm looking for. It's faced towards the crank fillet on bank one. Now, I wanted to show you guys this so you don't fuck it up. On bank two, the actual chamfer, which is that protruding end right there, that's coming out, right? That end that's sticking out as compared to that end there, it's gonna be facing that way, the complete opposite. So the piston itself is still gonna be oriented the same as the pistons are on bank 1. So in case I lost you, and just go over that again. The chamfered area on the connecting rod goes always towards the crank fillet, right? So pretty much they're always going to be going outwards of each other. And then the small area that is not filed or not beveled, they ride along each other. So the other piston is going to ride beside that one, but over here. So obviously the chamfered area right there would have to be reversed to go towards the other counterweight. So I'm gonna do that right now and show you guys how it's done. Now we're gonna deal with bank 2, right? So as I was saying before, the pistons, they orient the same. So you're gonna orient them the same, as in the intake relief port's gonna always be in the middle of the block, and the exhaust relief port's gonna be at the side of the block. So we're gonna set it this way. We're gonna call this one number 2 piston. So that way we don't forget number 2. And it needs to be going that way. Wait a minute. No. Number 2 goes this way. Yep. That's the front of the block on number 2. Because the intake sits in the middle, so it's going to be sit like that. All right, now I'm going to turn this way. And then for the fillet portion of the connecting rod, this is going to be facing the opposite end. So though this is still facing the front of the block, as you can see right here, which is that way. Here, let me take you over there so you can get a better understanding. So here's bank 2, number 2 cylinder, number 2 piston. Here's bank 1, number 1 piston. Bank 2, number 2 piston. What I'm gonna do is, this intake relief port needs to be facing the middle. The exhaust relief port down at the side. That's how we know what's the front of the piston, the front of the block that way. Now with the chamfered edge of the connecting rod, that chamfer, this chamfer here, is not going to be facing towards the block that way, because we got another set of rods over there with the chamfered already facing towards that portion of the fillet. Now this portion that's all flat is going to be riding alongside the other connecting rod that's inside. So this bevel here is going to be riding at the opposite end, which is that way, of the opposite portion of the crank fillet. Okay, so it's going to be going in just like that. Right, chamfered edge that way, forward piston that way with the intake relief port in the middle. Do not mess up that little detail. What will happen if you mess up that detail? You will grind out either the fillet portion of the crank, or just be grinding down the bearings as it rotates. So you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. So chamfer facing the fillet at all times. So this is how it's going to sit in the block. I'm going to go ahead and flip it that way so I can get it lubed and prepped. So I'm going to grab our wrist pin here. These feel a lot like the S733s. They're pretty heavy. Nice forged equipment. Nice finish from Mali or Mal, however you pronounce them. Go ahead and clean that up. I'm gonna slap some lube on there. Also put a little lube inside there. And inside the bore, the wrist pin. And slide it all up so it's all good, not Just sit in one place. Just start here. Grab this and work it around a little bit. And it's ready to install. Just like that. See what I mean? See what I mean? The chamfer is facing that way. Now I'm gonna go and slap the circlip in. This I'm gonna put on my gloves. If you notice when I did the time lapse, I was using my gloves because these circlips hurt when you're trying to do them with your fingertips. They burn. I hate them almost as much as filing compression rings because I only use the manual compression ring filer, and that's gonna be the next video. But for now, I'm gonna get these circlips installed real quick. And once again, they did send lube with the kit, but I mean, I just love using the juice, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, can't recommend this stuff even more, dude. Like, I use this stuff on everything, even my track car. So I recommend Lucas Assembly Lube all day. So literally just hold it by the two ends and force it in. Try not to, I work my glove through the little groove here. Try not to get your glove cut off in there. And then check that everything is all seated. Screwdriver, a little screwdriver, it won't hurt. And work it back and forth. Make sure there's no binding. Yep. And make sure it's seated properly. Yep, and that right there, properly installed. Chamfer going that way, so let me show you. So here we go. So the piston on the other side, got the chamfer going this way. So the flat spot is right here. This is where both pistons ride. This chamfer needs to be going the opposite way. And this is what I notice on most of the Gen 3 Hemis. On like a 289 small block, it's a lot different. Even with like a forged kit, the pistons come directional, and the connecting rods, they actually come with numbers on them for each cylinder. So with this build, it's a little bit more intricate. If you don't know what you're doing, you will mess it up. So I advise pay a lot of attention to the detail, and you could do this pretty easily. So I'm just gonna run through the rest of them real quick. All right, so now we got them all ready and prepped and ready to go. So everything is set perfectly. I'm gonna leave them like this. This is just like how I like to do it, kind of like keep everything in order. So as I grab a piston and start to file the compression rings for this bore, then as soon as I get done, the piston rings gets installed onto the piston. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the other segments, as I'll be showing you how I do the complete build. This is gonna be crazy. This is gonna be crazy. Stay greasy, y'all.